I tried in every case after I went to NCDC to find some way to communicate in a powerful way. And even if that meant sort of trying to push some boundaries, you know? Like I just wanted to connect and make sure that the jurors really felt the thing they needed to feel.
Welcome to Sanctuary in the Jungle. I'm your host, Aaron Nelson. Today I'm talking with Karen Smolar. Karen is currently the Dean of the National Criminal Defense College and has spent years as a public defender in New York and along the East Coast. In this episode, we'll talk about the real difference between performance skills and being performative. We'll dig into something most lawyers often overlook, that storytelling isn't just the words you choose. It's your tone, your delivery, the volume of your voice, even the way you hold your body in the room. Many young lawyers get caught up in the lawyer voice and end up sounding more like a TV character than a truth teller. But as Karen will tell you, that's not what makes a jury trust you. Being your authentic self is. If you've ever wondered what separates a lawyer who's heard from one who's just talking, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Sanctuary in the Jungle. I'm Aaron Nelson. Today I'm excited. I'm here with our guest, Karen Smolar. Hi, Karen.
Hey, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us here.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a bit of a journey for you. Certainly today, you drove up here to Hudson, Wisconsin along the beautiful Mississippi and St. Croix River from Iowa. Is that right?
I did. My first time.
Yeah. What were you doing down in Iowa?
Well, we were running the Trial Practice Institute, which is our flagship program. And this was our first year doing this program in Iowa.
And when you say our, that's NCDC, is that right?
That is right. That is right.
And just so some of the listeners, I'm sure they know, but what's NCDC?
NCDC is the National Criminal Defense College.
And that's oftentimes, I think we've talked about that before, heard you talk about, it's normally connected with the city of Macon. Is that right?
Well, it was in its creation.
Yep.
For sure.
And this year, for the first time ever, it's down in Iowa.
Correct.
Where are we in Iowa?
In Iowa City.
Iowa City.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a great place. The people there are really friendly. We have incredible support from people from the law school. It was really, really awesome.
Well, that's wonderful. We'll get into, I know I want to get into that a lot, but yet your role there is now I want to say the dean, but I know there's technically a different term now, but I think of you as the dean.
Yeah, I'm going with dean.
All right.
The title was actually Daryl Danzler's title. She was the first person to become the dean of the college. She started the college in 1985.
Holy cows.
And the thing that's so remarkable about that is at the time there were, judge schools.
Yeah.
So that judges could go to school and learn how to be a good judge, or at least a judge. Prosecutors were also, they had schools, programs where they would learn how to be prosecutors, and there really wasn't a place yet for criminal defense lawyers to learn our craft. And so there were some folks from NACDL who got together, and people who were like really, really groundbreaking people who said, we need a program for criminal defense lawyers.
Yeah.
And they chose Daryl Danzler to be its leader. And to be honest, I'm not sure if this is something that resonates so much with people, but there were not that many women who were in real positions of leadership.
Sure.
In our profession. Even when I started as a criminal defense lawyer, judges would ask me all kinds of odd things like, why aren't you wearing pants? Or why are you wearing, just asking me questions about my clothing and my earrings and just
how long your hair was.
Yes, all kinds of odd things. I'd sort of look around who are they talking to?
Sure.
So, the fact that she was chosen She was a professor.
And not only, I mean, my understanding, 1985, I was in middle school, right? But
You're so young.
yeah, well, I don't know about that. But just women in positions of leadership in the world, positions of leadership within the legal profession, but certainly within criminal defense. Because if there's one area of the law that seemed to be dominated by loud, outspoken men, is probably criminal defense.
Absolutely. No question. No question.
And here they chose
her.
They chose her.
Yeah.
Even in that world.
Right.
What do you think it was about that? What do you think it was about her that said everybody else looked to her and said, we're picking her?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know her then.
Yeah.
Because it was way before my time. But
you've known her for a long time.
I did. First of all, she was able to perceive talent. And when she was the dean, if somebody came on, who came to the program, she would walk around and watch people, and she would look for talent. And if she saw it, she could see people in a way that was really remarkable. Many people who are now on faculty say, Daryl Dantzler saw me. She saw something in me that I didn't even know I had myself. And so I think that was certainly something I really noticed about her. She was also tough. She knew how to handle men, meaning she knew how to talk to men.
What I think of her as is what I knew her kind of from a distance, and I've heard so much about her through you and through others, certainly about Keith, but just even when your story now is, she's a teacher. When I see a teacher is able to see somebody else and they're able to get them to be what they're capable of.
Correct.
That to me is like the soul of a teacher.
Absolutely.
Right? And then the soul of a criminal defense attorney is a truth teller.
Yeah.
You can speak the truth, like you said. She could say what she needed to say to other people. That's to me what I think of as Daryl Dantzler.
Yeah. That's all true. I mean, that is definitely all true. And she was a force. She really was. Yeah. And she also largely created the pedagogy that we use today. And that's the other thing that's so remarkable about her. She understood that you cannot actually learn how to do this work unless you get up on your feet and do it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't learn it from watching a video alone. You can't learn how to do it by just listening to a lecture. You have to watch it, try it, do it again, right? And then get the feedback from somebody who is more experienced and understands these things and shares that with you. And today we still use that same pedagogical opportunity for people. That's how we teach.
Yeah.
And it's all because of her.
Yeah. Well, and now a lot of it's come because of you. And so I want to go back to maybe the beginning with you, because I know performance is certainly a big part of what we do. Yep. It's a big part of what we teach, but it's also a big part of who you are.
It is.
So tell me, where'd you start out? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the suburbs outside of New York City, in a town called Muncie, New York. It was, and still is today, a very Jewish community. So I grew up with a family that prioritized learning, school. We had a piano in our house, and my brothers and I all had to play the piano.
Yeah, and you were the youngest, right? You had two older brothers?
Correct.
And that had an influence in your life?
Yeah, that sure did.
Tell us about that. How did having two older brothers around impact who you are today?
Well, first of all, they were often wrestling on the floor, and they were very athletic. Both my dad was very athletic, loved sports, took us to baseball games, all kinds of things related to sports. So I kind of just growing up wanting to be a boy.
Okay. Or at least do the boy things,
do
right?
everything they were doing, anything they were doing. But I was always sort of lagging behind because I was younger. I was the youngest and the only girl. So I was always trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
So it sort of created in me like a drive to like keep up with them. And I think that that has actually sort of been instrumental in sort of how I've become, like my work ethic
Sure.
is like to just like keep pushing and trying to move ahead. And I think that really inspired me to be like a hard worker.
Because it wasn't something that was natural for you, right? Obviously, they're older than you are. Correct. They might have been bigger, stronger, or faster in those
all
things.
of those things.
Yeah, right? And so you had to...
I had to try to keep up.
Yeah.
I have this like awesome image of this. We used to go visit an aunt and uncle of ours at a lake. And my uncle would get in the rowboat with his cigar in his mouth. And he would row us across this extremely large lake, and we would swim all the way across the lake and all the way back. Yeah. And so they were always ahead of me, of course, and they were kind enough to wait for me. But the second I caught up with them, they would just start. They would go. Like I never got. That's right. I didn't get the rest. They only got the rest. But I did actually swim in college, so maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, but it's very much like a criminal defense attorney, but certainly a public defender, right?
Absolutely.
The other side might have all kinds of advantages.
Exactly.
And you just need to be smarter, work harder.
Exactly.
Right? And
yeah, so it definitely like helped me in all kinds of ways. And also like to stand up and like I said before, like when I first started, there were way more men in the practice than women.
Yeah.
Right. So I was, I had a boldness about me. Like I can do anything that a man can do. And I think that was instilled in me really young.
And even young, my understanding is there was sometimes some barriers based upon your gender that other people put up that you were like, well, why can't I just because I'm a girl? Yeah. Did that happen with some of your educational opportunities?
It sure did. I think the most poignant sort of place where that happened for me was in synagogue.
Okay.
At the time when I was growing up, our synagogue, most synagogues, did not allow girls to do the same things that boys could do in the synagogue. So there were certain kinds of prayers and certain kinds of things that only boys were allowed to do.
This is a boy thing, this is a girl thing.
Yeah. So like girls would light candles for Shabbat, but boys could chant from the Torah. Okay. And so when my brothers were in the process of getting bar mitzvahed, they took a class where they learned how to read Torah and how to do the things that you do when you become a bar mitzvah student. And I was like, what? I want to learn how to do these things. Why can't I do this? And so I would go and sit in the class with him and try to learn all the things that they were learning. And eventually, they let me go up on the bima. I was really, really, really young. I was so young that they had to get me like a little stool to stand on so I could reach the Torah. And I started chanting really young. And
when you say, apologize, when you say let you, was it something that, this was your idea?
Yeah, it kind of was.
You became an advocate for yourself at a very young age.
It's true. It's true.
Tell us about that. Just what was that like having to advocate for yourself?
I just didn't understand. Like I truly didn't understand why I wasn't allowed to do that, and I just kept asking. And I asked if they could have somebody teach me how to chant, and eventually they let me do it. Like I think part of it too was that the branch of Judaism that my synagogue was part of was also starting to like loosen up some of those pieces of, structure in place. Okay. And yeah, I think actually, my mom, it's interesting. I think I had already gotten bat mitzvahed, but she wasn't allowed to get bat mitzvahed when she was a kid at all because she was a girl, which was interesting. And so she actually studied with a group of women, and they all got bat mitzvahed together after, when our synagogue actually started to let women participate in prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that something that you helped to?
Perhaps.
Did you get how do you pronounce it?
Bat mitzvahed.
Bat mitzvah?
Yeah.
Did you do that before your mother?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're the trendsetter even in your family.
I guess.
So you eventually found your way to Wesleyan College, is that right?
Wesleyan.
Wesleyan?
Yeah.
You eventually found your way to Wesleyan
Correct.
College.
I did.
Tell us about that journey.
So at that point, I had been playing the French horn for many years. So I played in high school. I danced a lot. I started with gymnastics when I was younger, and then I moved on to dance. And I danced a lot when I was both in high school and college. I had an amazing dance teacher in our elementary school, which sounds crazy, but I think that's actually right. And she taught us modern dance.
Okay.
Which was also kind of
really
unusual at that time, yeah. Which was interesting because I did ballet and tap and sort of all of the common jazz, all of that stuff. But when I got to college, I played French horn and I danced a lot in college.
Were those two activities part of what led you to that college, to that choice?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
How so?
This school is a super liberal school. Instead of a major you had concentrations.
Oh, all right.
So I concentrated in English literature.
So it sounds, I don't know much of either, but it sounds very much like a Montessori-esque, like, you do what you want, get an education.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah?
It was amazing. It was a great place to go to school.
So how'd the path to law school come about? It does not sound as if you were...
That was definitely not my path.
We've had some guests who've said, from the age of 10 on, they've wanted to be a lawyer, or at a young age in high school, they wanted to be a lawyer. Tell us about your path to law school.
So I did have a cousin who was a public defender.
Okay.
I'm not sure if, at the time when he first talked to me about this, that I totally understood exactly what that meant, but I remember having that conversation with him.
So you get exposed to a cousin who's a public defender.
Correct.
And some other people, and then you eventually find yourself at law school. Where'd you go to law school?
I went to Brooklyn Law School.
Okay. How was that experience?
It was a little bit of a change for me because it was really different than Wesleyan.
Sure.
Just really, really different. And it was hard. It was a lot of work. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, really, for a long time. I knew I had worked in jobs that were definitely not things that I wanted to do. I worked for an advertising agency for my first job. And they actually had a pro bono program that they were doing for a particular Jewish organization, and I asked to work on that. And I remember one of the people who ran the agency, I went over to him and I was like, "Can I work on this project? Because I feel like this would really suit me." And he was like, "Karen, I really think you're in the wrong business." Because all I wanted to do was help people, and I found myself going to shoots with models and just doing things that felt not something that I really wanted to put myself into. So I decided I was going to try to go to law school, and I actually worked at a law firm because at the time, not that this isn't true today because it is, but like that was like the success path, right?
Sure.
Was like
Big
working
firm.
in a big firm.
Yep.
So I went and worked at a big firm in New York City as a paralegal, and stayed up really late at night.
Too many hours.
Doing document production and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And I found that like most of the people there were really not that happy doing their jobs.
Sure.
And
Probably didn't fulfill your sense of helping either.
yeah, exactly. So I'm really glad I did it because it sort of taught me that that really wasn't the right path for me. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do through many years of, at the beginning of schooling. And then when I started to find some things that like felt like I was actually helping people, I started to say, oh, this is probably the right thing for me. So I did an internship at the Legal Aid Society while I was still in law school.
What's the Legal Aid Society? What was it at that time when you were working there?
I mean, it still is the largest public defender agency in the city of New York.
Okay.
And yeah, there weren't a lot of other places to be a public defender, honestly. There was a new place called the Neighborhood Defender Services that was just opening up at that time. I actually applied for a job there, and it decided to go to legal aid.
Okay.
And
so it's one of 2 or 3 public defender agencies within New York City.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it was.
Did that change?
Yes, it sure did.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that change.
Well, at some point, pretty early on in my tenure, we were unionized, and at some point, there was a decision made for the lawyers to go on strike based on wages and health care and other things.
Some of the same issues that I imagine are still going on today. Just the workload's too high. The conditions are unbearable or not appropriate. So you guys go on strike.
We went on strike. Mayor Rudolph Giuliani.
Heard of him?
Of fame. Basically like threatened us that if we didn't go back to work that he would shut us down, and people were really concerned that we were going to lose our jobs, and so we went back to work. And in the wake of that, he decided to create RFPs, requests for proposals, to build other public defender agencies in New York.
Okay.
And that has completely changed the face of what public defense looks like in New York City.
Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. How is that? Are there other agencies
There
now?
are many other agencies in New York City. There were a series of offices that opened in different boroughs of New York City. And in each borough, there were different organizations that put in bids. And actually, at least 2 of those offices were run by people who had come out of the Legal Aid Society. So it was almost like all the people that had worked at Legal Aid sort of like scattered into different offices.
I'm going to set up my own office, or not my own, but start an office.
Start a thing, yeah, exactly. So I ended up going to one of those organizations, which was the Bronx Defenders, that is still in existence today. And I worked there for 19 years.
19 years.
Yeah, I was the trial chief. And it is actually how I ended up going to the National Criminal Defense College. Full circle.
Well, that's where I want to talk. So tell me about that experience. How much have you been practicing then? Are you 5 years out?
So I think I was 8 years in when I started.
Okay.
But I had been at Legal Aid. I hadn't really been to a training program. Legal Aid had its own internal training program, but I hadn't really gone to an external program. When I I got a job I worked for a little while actually for a private lawyer. Kind of missed that little step at some point. But so I worked for a private lawyer, and he would give me all the clients' cases who couldn't afford really to pay him. So I was basically doing public defender work.
Work for the indigent, right?
Yeah. And actually, some of those clients followed me when I went to my next job.
To the next job.
Yes. So that was in Queens. So I worked in Queens for a while, and then I ended up applying for a job at the Bronx Defenders, and they hired me. And yeah, it was like a really interesting shift for me.
How soon into your time at Bronx Defenders that you went to NCDC?
I would say probably after the first probably 2 or 3 years. The first time I ever went to a program, I went to the cross-examination program.
Okay, where was that?
It was in Atlanta at a hotel.
Okay.
That's where we used to do that.
And that's
program.
like a 4-day program.
Yeah, it was a short program. Exactly.
So you get a little taste of it?
Correct.
And how'd that make you feel?
Well, this is the thing. I went with another person from our office. We were trying a sexual assault case together. And so we spent the entire time going in, listening to the lectures, and then sitting together at the bar going, all right, what are we doing with this case? And so it helped us prep this case. That was really a difficult case. And it was like magic. It was so impactful to both of us.
Yeah. Can you just unpack a little bit? Like, what was magical about it?
Well, one thing that I really remember is Lisa Wayne.
Sure.
Who's one of our amazing faculty members.
Yeah, absolutely.
Giving a lecture on how to try a sexual assault case.
Okay.
And everything she said was sort of like mind-blowing to us. And it just kind of changed our whole thinking about how we were going to cross and how to even do an effective cross-examination. Yeah. First of all, to see a woman, and Lisa is a powerful, powerful woman.
Absolutely. And
an incredible advocate. And to see her in that space, just kind of walking around this huge room, I don't know, it's just really inspiring to me. And again, like as I said before, like I grew up with a bunch of boys.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a boy, like I thought I was a boy. But like here, I was like, oh, like I can actually just be me. Like I can do that.
So the modeling just...
Oh my God. It just was transformative for me. Okay. Truly. Yeah.
You had other models in your life at that time. You were married to somebody who was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Talk about that contrast and how you were able to maybe use NCDC to help you find your own voice, to find your own way of doing it.
And it still inspires me today because I tell the participants at the beginning of the program every time, like, we want you to find your authentic voice. It's something I tell them all the time because people think, I recently interviewed somebody at my current job who told me that his professor told him that he sounded like a TV lawyer. And I like sort of wrote down like, because I thought, why is that a good thing?
Yeah, right.
It's the opposite. We want to just be our authentic self.
Is that something that, for you, I think for a lot of lawyers, right? When we first come out, we see Model A, Model B, Model C, and maybe we try to emulate that.
Yes,
was that your experience?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So my husband was an incredibly powerful courtroom lawyer. So I'm just going to give you an image. So you walk into a courtroom. He's in the courtroom. The judge is in the courtroom. There's people in the audience in the rows watching, right? The only thing you can look at in the courtroom is him.
He's just a magnet.
Commanded the space. He was a magnet. He could take on a judge in like the most artful way. He was very well respected. And he was a brutal cross-examiner. Like this is something I learned from him not to do, which is you don't have to rip the guts out of every witness on the witness stand. I think he just had that in him and he sort of couldn't help it.
Yeah.
So there were times where I was like, you just didn't even have to do that.
But he had the capability of doing it.
He sure did.
Yeah.
He sure did. So he was my mentor for many years. He taught me everything that I knew about being a lawyer, really, a courtroom lawyer. But that was really hard for me because I'm not a tall, arrogant, powerful man. I'm not, notwithstanding what I thought I was doing as a child. But like, I just had to find my own footing, really. And I have to say, Robin Steinberg, who is the head of the Bronx Defenders, like, she could see that in me, and she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I really didn't, like, from working with Alan, I felt like I'm never going to be able to be that thing.
Yeah.
And she was like, you just need to get away from him for a little bit and just come and be yourself.
Yeah.
And she just gave me the confidence to be able to do that.
It's hard to become something that you can't even see.
Yeah, exactly.
then-
But somebody else could see it. And I don't know. I sort of like, I just accepted it and said, okay, I will try. And I think that that's why the performance piece continues to this day to be so important to me in my teaching, because using those skills that I had from my childhood and understanding like this isn't really that much different, right? Like I'm standing in front of a group of people, I'm trying to communicate something, I want to be able to make them feel something, and I know how to do that. I know how to do that through music. I actually, even when I'm talking about somebody's doing a cross-examination, for example, right? Sometimes I'll tell students, like, did you ever play an instrument? And if they did, I'll say, think about music. Like, when you look at sheet music, it tells you how to play the music, staccato or whatever, right? Like, like it tells you how the person who wrote the music conceptualized how it should sound, right? And you can do the same thing when you're doing a cross. You can like write yourself some little notes and say, this is a place where I'm going to like step it up, or this is a place where I'm going to bring it down, and use all of those skills like to think about how to communicate what you want to say.
When you're at the Bronx Defender, you go to the theories, themes,
Yes.
you come back.
Yep.
At the time that you come back, is there an internal program there within the Bronx Defenders?
Not really. I mean,
because now there is. Is there not? Is there like an academy? Is that true?
There is.
How did that come to be?
I was having a chat with Robin, my mentor and the leader of our office, and I think I was already on faculty at NCDC at that point, which was an incredible honor, as I'm sure you understand, because when you're asked to join NCDC, it feels like an incredible honor. Yeah. Right?
And you were asked to do that at pretty quickly. You become a student at a young age, and then boom, you're on the faculty.
Yeah. I was very lucky. Daryl invited me to come teach at one of the short programs like almost immediately after I was on faculty. So from the beginning, I just felt like she gave me a lot of, I mean, I really didn't know anything about teaching, to be honest, right? I really didn't. When I actually went as a participant to NCDC, I was just about to start my first time ever teaching at a law school to teach trial skills, which David Feiga also helped me get. And I took the job. It was far away from my house, but I took it because I was like, no one's ever going to hire me in a law school to do anything. Take this opportunity. I better take this. So I did. So that was my first time teaching anything. And so I actually went to NCDC in 2007, I think.
That's what we're saying.
That's what we got. Because I was about to start teaching at a law school, and I'd never done that before, and I had no idea what I was doing.
I better go get some skills.
I was
and
like,
tools.
So I went to watch the faculty in my head, that's what I was doing. Like I went because I
Yeah.
wanted to watch other people teach to see if I could like pick up something from
Kind
it.
of a little meta.
Yes.
I mean, you were going there as a student, but you were wanting to learn yourself more about the teaching than it was the practicing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you took that spirit of asking back with you to the Bronx, and that's
Yep.
where the academy came from?
Correct.
So tell me about that.
Yeah.
What did you
Well,
ask Robin?
We were talking about my role in the office. I mean, this is how I remember it. I imagine
She's
maybe
not here to contradict.
Exactly. But we were talking about my role in the office, and I had offered to. We were doing some. We were growing, and so we took over some space in another location down the block, and I offered to sort of run that group of people, like that team. And I think that maybe she had some ideas of things she wanted me to be doing. But so I brought up to her just the idea that, we send all these people to NCDC, which is awesome, but like, why aren't we just teaching this here? And she was like, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, like, I understand what we're supposed to be teaching now. Like, we could just teach that here. And she's like, what are you saying? You want to create your own program? And I said, yeah, exactly. And she was like, that's what? It's like, so.
Unheard of.
It was a little unheard of at the time, actually, yeah. So I just sort of remember us like almost having what felt a little bit like an argument about it. And at some point at the end of it, she was like, fine. She's like, you really want to create a trial skills program? And I'm like, yeah. She said, okay, fine. And like we parted ways, but it was for her. And I feel like this is really important because she was in many ways an amazing mentor for me. But what she said to me is like, we have to think about the mission of the organization, right? You can't just come up with an idea.
Makes
right?
sense.
Anything that we do here has to be mission driven.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if we can teach our lawyers to be better trial lawyers here, that all that does is make our lawyers better lawyers and more effective. And that's what for her, it was her question, anytime you asked about anything or for something that you thought was important, she'd say, how does this impact our clients? And I said, this impacts our clients incredibly. Like, we can actually teach everyone here these skills, and we can also make it actually really thoughtful about the practice that we have here.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've now worked in a couple of different places. I could tell you for sure, practicing in Massachusetts is completely different than practicing in New York. It's like a completely different thing.
Sure.
There are different issues. The community's different, like just everything about it.
The laws are different.
The laws are different. They're way more different than one would think, right?
Yeah.
But
although the laws are probably the easiest to adjust to. It's the people, it's the culture, it's
correct.
the community.
The culture is really hard to adjust to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you were telling me about is the first thing that you did with NCDC was this theories and themes, as you called
Yeah.
it, but it was actually theories, themes,
And improv.
And improv.
Yes.
And how did that improv influence what you did with the academy there
Yeah.
at the Bronx Defender? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I went to an arts camp when I was a kid. So I was
Sure.
playing horn in the pit. I also was playing with in an orchestra, which was also just kind of an amazing opportunity that I had. So the conductor at this camp ran his own youth orchestra in New Jersey, which was not too far from my house, just far enough that my parents were still willing to drive me there. So I got these like incredible opportunities to meet people who are great musicians and performers.
Yeah.
And So I did some things on stage. I danced a lot. I wasn't ever really like an actor, but I was very much exposed to all of that stuff as a young person, as a child, all of that. So when I got this, I went to this program, I was thinking, wow, this is so interesting that they're like combining these things. Like how does this help? How is this going to help like in the courtroom? And that's when I really started to think about this idea of performance and how, in fact, we are performing in many ways, and that there's so many things about performance work that can enhance our ability in the courtroom, both to like use space, using our voice, how we change our voice, how we breathe.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about ways to add these pieces into the program that I created in the Bronx. So
And you got past just thinking about it, right?
yeah,
You actually did it.
I did. So we initially brought in this guy Matt, who I was working with, two of his friends who were both actors who he went to college with, and they did improv.
Okay.
And I asked them if they would help us run the first version of Defenders Academy, is what we called it. And so they came, and we did the program at Columbia University, and it was really warm outside, and we took all the participants outside on the lawn, and we did improv games outside. And it was really cool, and we
Talk about being exposed in a new space.
Totally.
Enjoying the episode? Subscribe so you don't miss the next, and share it with a young lawyer or student looking for a little motivation. It takes 10 seconds and means a lot to us. How does the arts get incorporated with the pedagogy? Because I mean, obviously, as students come, we're teaching them skills. Here's cross-examination. Here's how to pick a jury. Here's how to give an opening statement.
Yeah.
How have you incorporated the arts into each one of those different technical aspects?
Yeah. So each of the skills, as you know, are slightly different, right? So, for example, when you are doing an opening statement, we really stress like this idea of storytelling and telling a story. And so there are certain ways in which you can use your body or your voice or other things to enhance that storytelling. So each time we teach a different skill, the arts faculty sort of gives them helpful hints and pointers about how to think about using other aspects of either their body or their voice or whatever to enhance that particular skill. I also when I started at the Bronx with the Bronx Defenders, like nobody was doing this. Like there wasn't a thing that existed like this. So I started to try to write down things that I felt like were connected to each skill. So I had kind of like this list that I made, and it's like, well, for example, when we're doing voir dire, right?
Yeah.
What would you think would be the most important sort of performance piece about that? I'm just asking you because
What do I think is it?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I would say what I'm trying to establish is trust.
Correct.
Right? I want to get trust from them, so
Right.
I need to be vulnerable in some way in order to gain their trust.
Exactly. So the piece that I sort of probably wrote down on the piece of paper is connection.
Okay.
Right? So you want to connect with your audience. So you want to think about doing that either with your hands or your body or your something so that the person you're talking to feels a connection to you. So that's so for me, it was just like, what do we need to enhance each of these pieces of a trial that
Sure.
we're doing? So if you take closing, on closing is all about persuasion.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a totally different thing, right? You're thinking about persuasion and you're thinking about how can I empower this jury to feel like this is their choice, right? It's not about me telling them what to do. It's about giving them the tools to say, that thing that lawyer just said, that's right.
Yeah.
I see that, right? So it's like, it's all about empowering the jury.
Yeah, we, our good friend Keith, who's here, he talks often about logos, ethos, pathos. Right?
He taught me the same thing.
Yeah. And so often as lawyers, I think most of us come with a default towards the logos, right? In which is very...
Our brain.
Which are very... But it's also very content-centric.
Yeah.
Right? And it sounds like a lot of what you're talking about here is something that's focusing not so much on the content, but on how to deliver the content, how to communicate the content, how to do something else.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Certainly. Yep.
Yeah. And so in what ways does that get done? You said moving your body, using your voice.
Using your voice.
You said something about blocking before. What's that?
So when you have choices in the space. Some people don't. Some people have fewer choices than other people. So, for example, like in federal court, my understanding is that a lot of people are confined to the podium and they can't really walk around.
Yeah.
But in the courtroom that I practiced in the Bronx, we could really move about the courtroom any way we wanted to. We also had like a lot of leeway to kind of do creative things. In other places, that's not the case. I can tell you in Massachusetts, it's not as free as that.
Although we heard a story from Colette that she got up and sat in the jury box, I believe.
I have done that many times in the Bronx. They didn't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Colette's another one of those people who really taught me, to take chances and try new things.
So, performance, right?
Yeah.
In acting, you mentioned about that.
Yeah. I mean, we have actors teaching us things, but we're really just sort of borrowing their knowledge to help apply it to our craft.
And certainly at NCDC, at least when I was there as a student, I was encouraged to take risks, to do things that I wouldn't otherwise do. Sure. And so one of the only times in my life that I've sang in public was at NCDC during my my closing argument. Yeah. I believe
on the last day.
On the last day, I have
so many of these stories. I love these stories.
I performed, right, and that I sang, but I would never, absolutely never, do that in a real courtroom. Maybe it's because of my lack of confidence in my singing, but I also worry about just it's good to know what the boundaries are, right? And sometimes you need to know them by pushing the boundaries. But when does performance become too much about performance and not about, as Robin would say, what about the client? What about the client? What about the client? How do you now, as the dean of NCDC, what is the advice that you're telling the students to find that balance?
So I pushed every boundary that I could push when I was in the Bronx, but I worked in the Bronx.
Yeah.
So you got to know your jurisdiction. You have to know your judges, and you have to know your jury pool. I mean, I was able to do some really, really, really crazy things in a courtroom.
Yeah.
And a lot of that came from establishing trust with the judges. Like, you can't just walk into a courthouse where nobody knows you.
Yeah, as a stranger.
Or even a brand new lawyer, and just start doing crazy things in a courtroom that you don't usually see. Yeah. But if a judge trusts you enough, they will let you go. And I think I just very slowly tried new things in the courtroom, like you said about Colette. Like, I would just take chances.
And just tell me a story about a crazy thing. Like, what are you talking about as far as a crazy thing? What's a crazy thing that would
I sat in the jury box in a trial during my closing as the witness, the police officer witness, and told the story I wanted them to hear about what actually happened that day.
Up in the witness box. So you basically pretended to be the witness?
In the witness box, yes. I did a closing, an opening statement where I actually, and I normally would not ever do this, but in this particular case, I did something I was super out of the box. So I spoke from my client's voice in first person, and I told his story of how he ended up in the situation he was in.
But from his eyes, with his voice.
Correct. But the voice part was really challenging because he was Spanish speaking, and I don't speak Spanish. And I didn't want to speak in a way that was disrespectful to him.
Sure.
So I figured out a way to do that without trying to be his voice. He also had made a statement, so I knew they were going to see the statement. So I thought it was sort of safe to do it that way.
So from a content standpoint, you knew you could get the content right.
Correct. And so what I did is I did a piece of me, I was sitting in a chair as though I was talking to, as my client, as though I was talking to a therapist about the way in which he was being treated. And then I stood to tell the story of what happened that night, because I wanted them to understand him and what he was going through while simultaneously understanding what happened that night from his point of view.
Not only what he did, but why he did it.
Yeah.
And sometimes the why, you need to know the who.
Exactly. I remember asking the court reporter before I started, please don't interrupt me and ask me anything. Because sometimes, if you get something, they miss it and they interrupt you. And I was so focused on the content because as I said, he testified and they were going to see his statement. I wanted to make sure that I got it right.
Yeah.
So that was a super out of the box thing that I did. But I tried in every case after I went to NCDC to find some way to communicate in a powerful way, and even if that meant sort of trying to push some boundaries, you know? I just wanted to connect and make sure that the jurors really felt the thing they needed to feel.
And the key was the connection to the story.
Correct.
Because it wasn't about your ego. It wasn't about you getting up there and performing, look at the actor that I am.
No.
Look at what I can do.
The thing is, I never saw myself as I always felt like I wasn't an actor. It was a thing I really didn't know how to do. Yeah. But I understood that how you present it and how you communicate actually matters.
Yeah. So tell me, you mentioned, you were in the Bronx. You taught in the Bronx for 19 years, but one of the things you just said was well, I was in the Bronx. I could do things. Just as we're here in Hudson, Wisconsin, a tiny little town in western Wisconsin. It's a jury pool that's made up of pretty much all Northern European stock. They all look like me or you, and how is it different in the Bronx? Not just from, how does that diversity, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about,
yes.
How does that provide something different for you?
Well, I think it's more than just diversity. I think it is about disempowerment. So it's very poor community, and most of the people that live in that community don't trust the police because of the way they treat people of color. And so it's a very unique place. Many people in the Bronx have family or friends or people they know who have been falsely accused of things, people who have family who have been incarcerated. people they've lost for all kinds of, horrific reasons because of police and the system. And I think that that's a pretty unique experience in our world, right?
Yeah. One of the things we need to overcome is the presumption of trust that they have with the police or with the government.
Exactly.
Maybe it's changing a little bit here as over the last 4 or 5 years.
Maybe, right?
But there's a strong trust
Yeah.
in many, many, many communities with law enforcement.
Sure. And then I find that in Massachusetts, if you ask a jury pool, do you think that a police officer who gets on the witness stand is likely to be telling the truth? They say absolutely.
Would that happen in the Bronx?
No.
Okay.
Most people did not trust the police. And I think on top of that, like culture, right? The lawyers that worked in the Bronx Defenders, and I imagine to this day that is true, care deeply about our clients, and we were trained to be client-centered. I think before most people were even using that word.
Yeah.
As Robin said, our clients are at the center of our practice, and everything we do, we have to ask ourselves that question: how is what we're doing? How does that impact clients? And I held on to that, and I think that the way that we, at least the way that when I was there, and I'm sure it's still true, the way we talked to jurors, the way we respected jurors, mattered.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just think that there wasn't an immediate trust of the police. In fact, it was sort of the opposite.
Okay.
So it was, a really unique place to be doing this work.
As simple as a different audience to tell a different story to.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that their experience that they brought to it was powerful.
Sure. So you could tell some stories that would resonate with them.
Correct.
In a way that maybe some of the stories don't resonate with perhaps the juries where you're working now.
Yeah, perhaps.
One of the, obviously this is Sanctuary in the Jungle podcast, right?
Yeah.
And the whole idea of, what can we do to create a sanctuary? And we've heard wonderful stories from you about how you create a sanctuary for lawyers to learn, like to bring a community together to come. What is for you, just if you, in a courtroom, right? You've done all of this work to make, again, a sanctuary for us to learn, that we can bring that back. When you are teaching people how can they do that in the courtroom? What can you do, or what do you see as a sanctuary in the courtroom?
I think when I'm in the courtroom, I'm trying to create a sanctuary for my client.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I want them to feel, I can't imagine what it would be like to be on trial. So I can't actually go there and say anything about that other than I've watched my clients, sat next to my clients, held their hand, walked them through the worst moments of their lives. I've also walked people out of a courtroom after an acquittal. And so I feel like the sanctuary piece for me is just like creating a connection with my client who feels like they feel safe.
Sure.
With me next to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love about NCDC is when we go out and we practice, it's so often that I think, I don't think my experience is unique, that I feel alone, right? That there's just a loneliness of the practice that we do when we're there in the courtroom, right? Yeah. And then if you extrapolate that, if we feel alone, and I get to go home.
Yeah.
I get to eat dinner at my own table. What is it that our clients are feeling that it's just for you? A sanctuary is just as simple as two people connecting because they're proximate to each other. They're just next to each other. They're near each other.
Yeah.
And that's what that's certainly to me what the heart and the soul of NCDC is to just teach me I'm not alone and I can make somebody else feel not alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So difficult work, right? To be there, to bring that energy. You did that for 19 years at the Bronx. You're doing it, in Massachusetts now. You're doing it throughout the year, teaching students. Mm-hmm. What fuels you? What brings? How do you continue to do that year after year after year, session after session after session, to bring the energy to do that? What fuels you?
I love the feeling of seeing someone feel their ability to actually transform through this program. When people talk about the experience at the end of the program, they almost always come over to me and say, this was a transformative experience. And what's interesting is, funders want to always know, like how, what impact have you had, right? And I would just say, it's transformative. People are transformed. And a couple of years ago, my daughter taught me this, because she was working for a nonprofit, and she was using a lot of data to try to explain how effective the grief program that she was running was for the participants in the program. And so what she did is she asked them at the beginning of the session, how comfortable do you feel with X, or whatever it was about her question, right, relating to grief. So, and they put the data together, and it showed how impactful the program was from the beginning to the end. And I was like, this is brilliant. Of course, my young, fabulous daughter is talking about data, and I'm like, oh, what's that? But anyway, so she suggested to me that we try to do this. So I created a little survey for them when they come to the program on the first day, and we ask them to rate their confidence in every skill that they're going to learn about in the program.
Sure.
And then I ask them at the end of the program to do the same thing. And the numbers, the data is kind of off the charts. Yeah. And it's so powerful because for all these years, people have been saying, NCDC changed me. And NCDC was like a transformative experience. And now I have data to actually show that.
Yeah.
Like people actually change in 2 weeks.
And if their confidence changes, they're going to go and do They're going to go and do
try
it.
Yep,
they're going to go try it. And if they go and try it, you're going to try it again.
Correct.
And you're going to get better at it because you have to try it before you can even get better at it.
Right. And that's what Daryl Danzler taught us to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that's so amazing about it is we're doing is we're just passing along this incredible thing that she created over and over again, and it still works. It's still magic. You know?
And this magic is needed more than ever in 2026.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us. This has been fantastic.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening to Sanctuary in the Jungle. This episode was brought to you with the help of May Daly and Nelson Defense Group. If you enjoyed the listen, share the episode with a friend, whether it's someone working in the system, someone who wants to learn more, or someone who's never thought about criminal defense before. My hope is that these conversations not only encourage you to care more about our legal system and the people in it, but also to share that energy with others, keeping the whole community moving forward. So carry the hope, share that hope with a friend, and we'll see you next time at the library.